My name is Urjan. I'm 27 years old, and for 6 months, I was a night shift security guard. The job was at an old 12-story office building on GS Road in Guwahati. It was supposed to be simple. Watch the monitors, do a patrol, stay awake. But some places remember. And this building remembered everyone who ever sat at the desk overnight. It was a humid night in July when it all started. I arrived at 9:50 PAG, the air thick and sticky, clinging to my skin. The day guard, a cheerful older man named Barua, was already waiting by the door, eager to leave. He handed me the logbook. "All quiet, Urjan. Just the old building groaning. You know how she is." I nodded, signed myself in, and watched him disappear into the bustling city traffic. Then, silence. The heavy glass doors clicked shut, sealing me inside with the low hum of the air conditioning and the faint, chemical smell of old carpets and cleaning fluid. The lobby was a cavern of marble and dim lighting. My desk was a small island in the middle of it, equipped with a bank of CCTV monitors, a landline phone, and an internal intercom system that probably hadn't been updated since the 1990s. For the first couple of hours, it was just like any other night. I watched the monitors cycle through empty hallways, silent offices, and the dark, motionless parking garage. I read a book, drank my chai, and listened to the building settle. The occasional creak of the structure, the distant rumble of the elevator resetting itself. Normal sounds. Around 11:30, the first odd thing happened. A clear, crisp ding echoed through the lobby. The elevator. I looked up at the indicator panel above the doors. The arrow wasn't lit. The doors remained shut. I checked the cameras for the elevator bank. Nothing. No one there. No one had called it. I shrugged it off. Old wiring, probably. Barua was right. The old building just groans. But it was the clarity of the sound that stuck with me. It wasn't a groan, it was a signal, an arrival. 10 minutes later, the intercom buzzed, a harsh, grating sound that cut through the quiet. I jumped. No one ever used the intercom at night. I pressed the button. "Security, Urgent speaking." Silence. Just a faint crackle of static on the line. "Hello?" I said again. "This is the security desk." Nothing. I was about to hang up when I heard it. A faint, rhythmic tapping. It sounded familiar. I looked down at my own fingers, which had been drumming a nervous beat on the desk just moments before. Then, a soft sipping sound. The exact sound I'd made drinking my chai not 2 minutes ago. It was a perfect echo of my own small, unconscious actions. My blood went cold. I looked at the console. The call was coming from extension 0000, an unassigned line. It didn't connect to any office, any floor. It didn't technically exist. I slammed the receiver down, my heart hammering against my ribs. This had to be a prank, some crossed wire, some technical glitch. I reached behind the console and physically unplugged the intercom's power cord. The small green light on the unit went dark. I sat back, breathing heavily, staring at the dead box. It buzzed again, louder this time, more insistent, from the unplugged unit. I didn't answer it. I just stared, the sound drilling into my ears, until it finally stopped. Midnight. Time for my patrol. I didn't want to leave the relative safety of the desk, but it was my job. I grabbed my heavy flashlight, its beam cutting a nervous path ahead of me. The building felt different now. The silence wasn't peaceful anymore. It was watchful. Every floor was the same. Rows of dark cubicles, empty conference rooms, the faint glow of computer monitors on standby. When I reached the 5th floor, the hallway lights began to flicker. Not a gentle flutter, but a violent, erratic strobe that threw dancing, distorted shadows across the walls. I hurried through, my footsteps echoing unnaturally loud in the flickering chaos. On the 7th floor, I found the server room door ajar, just by a few inches. This was wrong. That door was always locked. It housed the building's entire digital infrastructure. Only the IT manager and the building supervisor had keys. A wave of cold, conditioned air washed over me as I pushed the door open. The room was a maze of humming server racks, a symphony of whirring fans. In the center of the narrow aisle, a single office chair, one that was normally tucked away in a corner, had been pulled out. It was positioned to face the main security console, as if someone had been sitting there, watching the feeds, my feeds. I slowly approached the console. The main screen was active, displaying a frozen image from the CCTV camera in the main lobby. My desk. The timestamp on the image was from 3 minutes ago. The image was of me, standing at my desk, just before I started my patrol. But in the picture, I was looking straight up, directly into the camera lens. A cold, vacant stare. I hadn't done that. I never look at that camera. I felt a profound sense of violation, the chilling certainty that I was not just being watched, but studied. I backed out of the room, pulling the heavy door shut. I didn't bother to see if it would lock. I just needed to get away. I decided to take the stairs down. The thought of being inside that small metal box of an elevator was unbearable. The stairwell was concrete and steel, and my footsteps were the only sound. A steady thud, thud, thud as I descended. I was passing the 9th floor landing when I heard it. Another set of footsteps. They were coming up from the floors below me. They were slow, deliberate, and they were in perfect sync with my own. I stopped. The footsteps kept coming. Thud, 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 getting closer. I flattened myself against the cold concrete wall, holding my breath. The sound grew louder, echoing in the enclosed space until it was right on top of me. I squeezed my eyes shut, bracing for something. A wave of intense, bone-deep cold washed over me, passing straight through my body. And then the footsteps were above me, continuing their steady climb up the stairs before fading into silence. I didn't open my eyes for a full minute. There had been nothing there. No one. Just a sound and a feeling. A presence that had walked through solid matter. Through me. I didn't walk the rest of the way down. I ran. I burst out of the stairwell door into the lobby, gasping for air, my legs shaking. I had to get out. This wasn't a prank. The building was sick. Haunted. Something. I didn't care what it was. I just knew I couldn't stay. As I stumbled towards my desk to grab my bag, the landline phone started ringing. A shrill, piercing sound that made me cry out. I looked at the caller ID. The display read, Floor 12. This building only has 12 floors on the blueprint, but the elevator panel only goes to 11. The 12th was an unfinished shell, a storage space. It had no power, no phone lines. It was a dead floor. My hand trembled as I picked up the receiver. I didn't say anything. I just listened, and I heard my own voice. Not live, but a recording. Distorted. Tinny. It said, 10 minutes to 10, humid night. It was what I had mumbled to myself when I first walked in. The recording continued, playing back a collage of my night, the sound of me signing the logbook, the clink of my thermos, my own voice whispering, the elevator just dinged. No one got off. It was playing back my entire shift. It knew everything I had done, everything I had said. I slammed the phone down. I grabbed my keys, my bag. I'm leaving, I said out loud, my voice a ragged whisper. And then the entire lobby answered me. My own whispered words, I'm leaving, boomed from the PA system speakers mounted on the ceiling. The sound was immense, distorted, filling the cavernous space. It repeated over and over, I'm leaving, I'm leaving, I'm leaving. A desperate, mocking loop of my own escape. One last thing to do, sign out. It was protocol. It was the only piece of normalcy I could cling to. I threw the logbook open on the desk. My entry was there, clear as day. Arjun Singh, time in, 10 p.m. But next to it, under the timeout column, where there should have been a blank space, there was a single, elegantly written question mark. It looked exactly like my own handwriting. I stared at it, mesmerized with horror. I didn't write that. As I watched, the ink of the question mark seemed to shimmer under the dim lobby light. It bled, the lines shifting and reforming on the page right before my eyes. The question mark twisted into new shapes, finally settling into a single 5-letter word. Never. Timeout. Never. That was it. I didn't scream. I didn't make a sound. I just turned and ran. I hit the emergency bar on the front doors and burst out into the night. The humid, Guwahati air felt like freedom. I didn't look back.
I fumbled for my bike keys, my hand shaking so badly I could barely fit the key into the ignition. Just as the engine roared to life, my cell phone rang in my pocket. An unknown number. Without thinking, I answered it, putting it to my ear. A calm, familiar voice spoke. It was Barua, the day guard. "Hello? Is this the security desk?" I couldn't form words. My throat was locked in ice. He continued, his voice sounding perfectly normal, cheerful even. "I'm just calling to check in. The log says the overnight desk is occupied." I ended the call and threw the phone onto the pavement, where it shattered. I didn't wait to see the damage. I just drove. I never went back. I quit the next day over the phone. They could keep their final paycheck. But I know what he meant. I know what the building meant. I may have left the building, but a part of me is still there. Some nights, when the city is quiet, I get calls from a blocked number. I never answer, but I know who it is. It's the building. It's just calling to check in. Because as far as it's concerned, the overnight desk is still occupied. It will always be occupied.